Correct. With Queen Elizabeth I sitting on it.
And what's on that over there?
Well, over there, I thought we'd have something that represents the present Queen, you know, like a big coat of arms or something like that. And on the side of the float, over the wheel arches, we'll have Queen Elizabeth I and Queen Elizabeth II, and in between, two glorious reigns or something equally heart-stirring.
What's this waste paper basket?
Well, I thought either end we'd have a tableau. So over there, with Lizzie I, we'll have a form full of assorted Elizabethans, and in the front, Sir Francis Drake playing bowls.
Yeah?
You're going to have backache.
Yeah, well, it's only a good cause, isn't it?
Well, what's the waste paper basket? The Jack?
No, not exactly, no. That is Mount Everest, or to be more precise, the top of Mount Everest.
So we stick Hillary and Tenzing on top, right?
You're way ahead.
Is that it, then?
No, not quite. I thought that in front of Britannia there, we'd have something that epitomises Britain's progress over the last 25 years. And I can't think what.
Harold Wilson. Just a thought.
Hey, how about the footballer? Well, we did win the World Cup, you know.
The least said about football in England at the moment, the better.
Bow to your superior knowledge. Well, come on, there must be something. Well, what has happened in the last 25 years?
Inflation.
Unemployment.
Industrial collapse.
Yeah, perhaps we'd better forget it.
I think perhaps we better had.
Anyway, I'll get on to Charlie Green. I'll see about this lorry. It's not a flat
Right.
top, you know, but he won't have any trouble whipping the sides off.
Good.
Well, have I got it all right, then? It's one throne, two platforms, a cut-out coat of arms, and an Elizabethan form.
Yeah, I think so. I've got a list in the office. Come and have a look.
Hey, they've got some Elizabethan forms in Queen's Park. They're getting on a bit, though. One collapsed under me the other day.
That wasn't the Elizabethan form. That was the Henry VIII figure.
Thank you, Leonard. Hey, you get your priorities right. Never mind who's going to stand for England. Who is going to sit in that throne?
Oh, don't mention it.
Well, is it right what I hear, that your Emily's got an eye on being Queen Elizabeth I?
She is the irresistible force. Annie Walker is the immovable object. And I'm Piggy in the middle.
Yes, Miss Nelson.
Very nice. Oh, didn't they have some lovely fashions in them days? All them jewels and velvets and big skirts.
Not terribly comfortable, I'm afraid, as anyone who's worn the costume will tell you. And, of course, one has to have the deportment.
Oh, definitely.
Was there something, Mr. Elton?
Yeah. Do you know who I wouldn't mind going as? I wouldn't mind going as Cleopatra.
Hardly a figure in British history.
Oh, wasn't she the one that used to ride round in a chariot with knives sticking out the sides?
No, that was Boadicea. Now, what was it, Mr. Elton?
Boadicea, yeah, I'm getting mixed up. Of course, Cleopatra was Elizabeth Taylor, wasn't she?
In a manner of speaking, yes. What is it?
That's where they met, you know, her and Richard Burton. Yeah, well, it's them scratches on the bar top. I just thought you should come and have a look at them, so as you know it wasn't me.
Yes.
I should get overtime for this, you know. I said I should get overtime for this.
Did you say something, Uncle Albert?
Aye, I did. This doesn't come under the heading of normal work, you know. I ought to get something extra.
Uncle Albert, it's 12 o'clock. Now, if it's your lunch hour, break off, and if it isn't, carry on. But under no stretch of the imagination does anyone qualify for overtime at 12 o'clock on a weekday morning.
Well, if I were in Scanlon's lot, I would.
Yeah, well, you're not in Scanlon's lot, and you should be pleased about it. I've no doubt he is.
Shouldn't be working at all at my age.
Hey, has Lamb been in?
He'll probably be in later on this afternoon. Yes, have you seen about that lorry yet?
I'm going down in 5 minutes.
Oh, what do you want Len for, anyway?
Oh, well, Talia's managed to bend a trident.
That's very symbolic, isn't it? Put it in the committee room. Ray said he'd pick up anything like that, but put a label on it, will you?
Right. What you having on here?
Oh, absolute minimum. A few chairs for the finalists and one banner across the top.
Oh, glamorous grannies and bonny babies.
Correct.
Yeah.
I could be kitchener for you.
Pardon?
I said I could be kitchener for you. You know, on the float. Your country needs you.
Well, it's not having me. Not again.
Yeah, and how much will that cost us?
Cost no. It's just being patriotic. Which is more you can say for a lot of dressed-up women and an handful of squawking kids.
Oh, Uncle Albert, you do paint a pretty picture.
Oh, Elsie, it's lovely.
Well, would I bring you anything that wasn't? And if you don't like this colour, she's got another colours, sort of sugar pink and lilac-y blue.
No, that'll be smashing. Hey, it'll suit you, that, won't it? Being beautiful on your mother's side.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, mind you, bless her. She'll want new socks and shoes to match.
Well, you can't spoil the ship for ape of the tar, can you? Look, she's got a lovely stock there. She'll fix you up all right.
How did you meet her?
Well, she used to work at Miami Modes and then she got this little business of her own and she made it pay. Look, I tell you what, I haven't paid her any money yet, so why don't you go round there, pick what you want and pay at the same time? It'll save me bothering. You tell her Elsa sent you and she won't overcharge you. Well, not much.
All right, I'll do that. Hey, I want some more money off you.
Yeah, I was wondering when I'd join in this conversation.
You've joined. Give us another £5.
Another what?
A £5, go on, be a devil, open your wallet and give the moss a treat.
Who invited her in?
She's doing us a favour.
Oh, how come favours always cost me money?
Oh, if it's any consolation to you, love, they're all the same. I've had 3 just like that.
Have you any ideas how to get rid when I've had enough?
Oh, now it's easier.
Don't worry, I could just walk out.
Well, open the door on your way.
I have to say, love, for a young one, you certainly know how to handle him.
Well, coming from you, Elsie, that's praise indeed. Hello, love.
Hello. Oh, 2 birds with 1 stone.
By gum, it's a long time since I've been called a bird.
Oh, that's an old boiler if it's not a bird.
Oh, can I hit him now?
Any time. The hammer's in the kitchen drawer.
Well, I'm sorry if I started all this. It was only about tomorrow. 2 o'clock for the glamorous grannies.
Oh, kid, I wish you wouldn't.
And 2:30 for the beautiful babies. And isn't she just?
There we go. How's your busy Lizzie's going on?
Pardon? Oh, that's next week. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Next week? Have you heard about this one? Standing up there is good old Queen Bess.
Who hasn't?
I don't know. Standing up there in a royal purple for all the world to see.
Oh, I think that'll be Mrs. Walker.
Oh, rubbish. Ernie's got a bit between his teeth and I don't blame him. After all, it was your idea. Why should she have all the limelight?
If you want any help clobbering Annie Walker, just let me know.
Now let me enjoy a gorgeous half hour looking at these patterns.
I don't think it'll take you that long, Mrs. Walker. There's only 4 to choose from, then which slips of paper in.
That's penny pinching, isn't it?
Well, they buy 'em bulk.
Oh, I'm sure they do. What about the outside? I suppose I've no choice there at all.
No, not really. It's brewery colours, isn't it? You know, each one has its own, like horse races.
Have to be ready by June the 7th.
June the 7th? That's pushing it a bit, isn't it?
Well, unless you can persuade our dear Queen to postpone her jubilee, I'm afraid you will just have to push it a bit.
Well, we better make a start this after. Come on then, super lad.
Right.
Ready for a good day's work, are you?
Yeah.
By heck, we get some rubbish these days. Take this lad. Ask him the top 20, he'll read them off in one breath. Painting and decorating, he knows about as much as that bar top. And he'll know twice as much in 10 years' time. Come on, let's be having you.
Now, here's where the barmaid comes into her own, giving spiritual aid to mithered fellas.
It's spiritual ale that we won't give us a couple of pints, though.
No extra charge for comfort, you know.
Well, you won't have such a thing as a flat-top lorry.
Not about me person, no.
What about Charlie Greeno?
Well, he forgot, didn't he? It's halfway up to Scott's Corner now. We'll be back for a fortnight.
Nobody else?
Not a sausage. We're not the only street in the possession, you know. Everybody wants floats. They're all after them.
Charlie. Hey, give the girls a drink as well, will you, love?
The gentleman at the other end of the bar wants to know if you'd like a drink with him, but watch him, he's married. Well, married or not, I'm going to have a vodka and lime.
Yeah, and I'll have a gin and tonic.
No sooner said than done. Now, there's a picture you don't often see. A couple of glamorous grannies and a super grandpa in between.
Oh, for heaven's sake, shut up, will you?
All ready for tomorrow, then, are you?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Are you in bathing suits?
It's birthday suits, isn't it, Vera?
So I understood. I'm not wearing out. A dab of eau de cologne at 'em, no else.
You're kidding.
Are you going, Stan?
Well, I wasn't, but...
Well, you'll never know then, will you?
No. And if you do go, don't complain because there's nothing wrong with the unclothed human body.
Definitely.
Oh, nobody complains these days, and I'm damn sure Stan won't, will you?
You'd never.
Oh, Your Majesty.
Well, at least that's got us onto the subject.
Oh, don't worry, love. The arrangements couldn't be in better hands. Your throne will be a thing of beauty. Your courtiers will be hand-picked. We've got Laurence Olivier playing Sir Francis Drake.
Ernest, I don't want to do it.
Don't want to do what?
I don't want to play Queen Elizabeth. Ernest, I've never sought the limelight. I don't revel in it like Mrs. Walker.
Well, you've been in enough plays.
Oh, not for pleasure, Ernest. I've always seen it more as a public duty, and you know I'm always ill afterwards.
What exactly are you trying to say, Emily?
I'm saying, tell Mrs. Walker she can play the part.
No. No, Emily, I'm not going to back down to that woman. That's exactly what she's expecting. It's exactly what she is not going to get. If I back down to her, well, she'll just think I'm frightened of her.
You are frightened.
I'm not frightened of her. You may be, but I certainly am not.
Oh, it's not a question of that, and please don't get angry. I mean, Mrs. Walker is a good friend of mine and has been for a long time.
Well, she's not behaving like a good friend, and I'm not the only one that thinks so either. Oh, love, it was your idea in the first place.
Oh, I know. It's not the first mistake I've made, and it won't be the last.
It is not a mistake. The whole street's behind you. They're all looking to you. Can't you see that?
And can't you see that that's precisely what I don't want?
Emily, there comes a time when you've got to stand up and be counted.
But I know what I add up to, Ernest. A half. And I'm perfectly happy being a half.
Not anymore. That's a thing of the past. From now on, you're going to be as tough as the rest of them. You are going to play Queen Elizabeth. And you're going to do it beautifully. And what's more, you're going to enjoy it.
Thirsty work, this, our kid. Nip in and see if they'll put the kettle on for us.
Right.
Hello there.
Did my ears deceive me? Or did this young man really ask me to put the kettle on for a cup of tea?
That's right.
May I point out that you only started work a quarter of an hour ago?
Well, we wouldn't have started it all if you hadn't have been in a hurry.
Well, as you have started, may I suggest that you continue work for a little while longer?
Sorry, love. You see, we've got to get us dinner break in before 2 o'clock. It's one of the rules. And it's 1 o'clock now.
Yes. I do trust that this isn't going to be a typical example of British industry, where work is just a series of brief interludes between tea breaks.
No, no. Nothing like that. Now, look, I'll tell you what our main problem is. Interruptions. Like this. Now, we're going to have to go beyond our normal meal break to make up for the time we've lost talking to you. Silly, I know, but that's the rules.
I thought your break had to finish at 2 o'clock.
Except in such circumstances as the employee is prevented from enjoying the full benefits of a meal break or liquid refreshment due to circumstances beyond his control.
Ask the young lady behind the bar to put the kettle on for you.
These firms round here, they charge half what you are for doing this.
Meaning you?
Yeah, meaning me.
No chance.
You know what you're doing, don't you? You're taking the bread out of the mouths of local labour.
Listen, Jack, you can come to my seat any time you want and pick us up as much work as you like. As I'm tied to the brewery, so it cuts both ways, doesn't it? We're doing all right here, lad. We don't pick them things up till 2:15.
Right. Oh, they're getting me wit, them blokes. They're right cowboys.
That's funny now, that's what he calls you.
Oh. Mrs. Walker, please.
She's not in.
Oh, well, half a bitter, please. Hey, would you mind just keep on pouring beer over me or kicking me ankle just to keep the old adrenaline pumping, eh?
Oh, you're keeping up for a row, are you?
Yes, and I don't want it to cool off.
Yeah, you and me both. Here, I'll tell you what. I'll kick you and you kick me, right?
Right.
Do you think you're in with a chance?
You cheeky devil. Go them in with a chance. Who can beat me?
Well, Elsie Tannehill, bit of a hot one. And she wears posh clothes.
Ah, not this time. You know what we told you?
You didn't mean it.
Stan, love, why don't you come? You'd never forgive yourself if you missed it.
Oh, Mrs. Walker,
Please,
may I have a word?
I'm in a dreadful hurry.
Thanks.
What did you do that for?
Well, you've got to help a mate, haven't you?
Oh, Ernest, has it got to be now?
Yes, Mrs. Walker, I'm afraid it does. It's about the pageant.
Oh, surely we can discuss the arrangements later.
That's the whole point, Mrs. Walker. There are no arrangements to discuss. Emily is playing Queen Elizabeth.
I beg your pardon?
I said Emily's playing Queen Elizabeth. It was her idea in the first place. She was earmarked for the part, and she is playing it.
I don't think you can have heard what I said.
Oh, yes, I heard you, Mrs. Walker. I also heard you put a deposit down on the costume, but let me stress, that was entirely on your own initiative. Didn't stem from anything I said or any other member of the committee.
I see. Well, Emily, of course, is a very dear friend of mine. But does it occur to you that she may not possess the personality, the charisma that is so necessary for the part?
All being taken into consideration, Mrs. Walker.
I see. And the fact that she is your choice, and however coincidentally, she happens to be your wife, that doesn't embarrass you?
No.
I see. Well, then, nothing remains for me to do but to abdicate.
Riz, stop it, will you? You only get a Jubilee year once every Preston Guild. It's a time to be happy.
Oh, you're spending my money for me. How does that make me happy?
I could have got less and spent more, that's how. She was very nice, this woman Elsie recommended. Very interesting. She turned the shop upside down looking for these.
You needn't have bothered.
Oh, you can be right in misery sometimes, you. I don't mind you begrudging me. I'm your wife. But how can you begrudge her? She's your only daughter.
Yeah, I know she is. And I've got a question for her.
What?
You mind your own business. I'm talking to her. Hey, now, listen. You're supposed to be one of the best things in life, so now how come you're not free like the song says, eh? How come you cost a flipping much?
Go on, tell him, Chuck, 'cause you're a woman.
Yeah, I knew there'd be a simple answer.
Anything we can do for you, Betty?
No, love, that's all right. No, just pop round to see what kind of a mess you were getting into.
Oh, well, it's very good of you to show an interest, anyway.
That's the least I can do.
Look, would you mind just sit down, Betty?
Oh, thank you. Have you got a cup of tea made?
No. If you wouldn't mind holding that.
Certainly.
What do you think?
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
What's perfect? Oh, no way.
No, come on, Betty. You are Britannia to a T.
Oh, no, you're not having me making a fool of myself. Now, go on. Oh, I say, things that have you do. Ooh.
Oh, hello, love.
Hello.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I must be off. It's all right, Emily. It isn't anything you've said.
Well,
Sit down, Your Majesty.
You told her then?
Yes, I told her.
Ernest, I hope you noticed what Betty said just now. I mean, it isn't just me. She didn't want to make a fool of herself either.
You won't make a fool of yourself.
Oh, yes, I will, and it worries me dreadfully. I mean, Mrs. Walker doesn't mind.
Because she's a fool already.
Oh, now, Ernest, that kind of silly remark doesn't help.
Nor, if I may say so, does your obstinacy. There's no performance as such. You don't have to learn any lines. You don't even have to move around. You just have to sit there looking regal. And you can do it beautifully.
Well, if you're so concerned about me, why can't you see?
Well, I could say the same thing. Why can't you see what I feel about backing down?
You started out by wanting to help me.
Yes, I know, but because that stupid woman, it's all turned round the other way now. I want you to help me.
I don't want to do it, Ernest.
I'm sorry, Emily, you're going to have to. Because Mrs. Walker certainly isn't.
I think I'll go and have a little lie down. We're not terribly busy. I feel I've got a dreadful migraine coming on.
Dear. Mrs. Walker, if there's anything we can do to help, perhaps I could take your costume back for you when it arrives. Or better still, I could take it round to Emily Bishop's. I'm sure she could get it to fit her.
Don't worry, I'll see to it.
If it's any consolation to you, I mean, they're having their troubles over there as well. Aren't they?
Have it?
Well, I mean, it was you that told me that they couldn't get a lorry or a float or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear. That will spoil things.
She's on the phone, isn't she?
Who to?
I don't know to. You can bet your life she's sticking her oar in and making things worse, you and your big gob.
Now then.
Give us a pint, will you, love? Vodka and lime and a gin and tonic.
Do you know I couldn't have done better myself? Come on, you were saying?
Well, she just said that she'd back down, that's all.
Do you know that's the third today? Edith Pillins dropped out, and just before I closed, Mary Crocker walked in, and she's done the same.
You're talking about glamorous grannies. Some of her backed out.
Yeah, we were just saying.
What's happened, do you know?
I should think it's obvious. They took one look at me and decided not to bother.
I can't see it myself.
Well, you wouldn't. Not with your short-sightedness, as well as.
As well as what?
All your other shortcomings.
I'll give you a run for your money.
And may the best man win.
Oh, Len, that's not fair. You know, she makes a far better fella than I do.
Don't you get some insults?
Excuse me, I couldn't help overhearing, but does that mean they're still taking entries?
Well, who had you got in mind, Hilda?
Well, me, who else? I'm a grandma. And I can make myself just as glamorous as the next woman.
It's tomorrow, Hilda, not next year. You haven't got that much time.
Sticks and stones may break my bones. You was thinking of going anyway, weren't you, Chuck? What do you say I come along and participate, eh?
Aye, yes.
But has he told you why he's thinking of going, Hilda?
Don't start that again.
Don't start what?
Well, we live in a permissive society, Hilda, and I don't mind telling you it makes my hair curl sometimes.
What are you on about?
Well, let's just say if I was a granny, I wouldn't go near the place. Some of us still have a shred of dignity left, even if others haven't.
Don't be such a flaming hypocrite.
Look, what's all this about?
Note.
Oh, aye, I know you're out. Don't worry, I'll get it out of you when I get you home.
Oh, yeah, I can appreciate the problem. Yeah, I mean, if you don't do the maintenance in holiday time, when do you do it? Yeah, well, I thought there was no harm in asking anyway. Bye. OK, ta-ra, see ya. No go.
Oh, I do hope I'm not interrupting.
No, not at all, Mrs. Walker.
Only, when I heard that you were without a lorry for the procession, I thought, what can I do to help? So, I rang up the transport manager of the brewery, who's a dear, dear friend of mine, and he has gladly consented to lend me a dray.
Oh, great. Well, I suppose it's up to me to thank you, Mrs. Walker, especially in the circumstances.
What circumstances are those, Ernest?
Well, I mean, Emily playing Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, you mean the circumstances that did apply? Well, of course, they can be easily altered, can't they? You did hear what I said, didn't you? They are lending me a dray. Well, now, naturally, the brewery couldn't be so magnanimous if the leading character were not being played by one of their, I nearly said employees, one of their good friends. And I'm certainly one of those. So let me know the arrangements in due course, will you, Ernest? What a good thing I didn't cancel the costume. I must rush. Bye.
It makes you realise, doesn't it? The Spanish Armada never stood a dog's chance.
Oh, God, what are you doing here this morning?
I work here.
Is that what you call it? I doubt anybody else would. You're not even disturbing the dust you didn't disturb yesterday or the day before that.
You know, I got a theory about dust. I reckon there's just so much of it, and folk like me just keep moving it round and round from one place to another. It's another con trick on the working class.
You're getting paid for it.
Do you call what I get getting paid? Listen, do you know what a cleaner in America gets? $25 a day. Now that's... Ooh, what did it say in the paper now? 15 quid. That's right, yeah, 15 quid a day. Now, I hardly get that in a week.
Off with you to America, then.
I just might. After all, Dick Whittington managed it.
Dick Whittington made his fortune in London.
Same thing.
Yes, Hilda. Anyway, shouldn't you be tarting yourself up for the glamorous granny contest this aft?
Well, I've not entered, have I?
I heard you had. In fact, I heard you'd been sponsored by Yves Saint Laurent, and he put his entire Paris salon at your disposal.
Well, actually, it were Ozzie Clare, clever clogs.
Mind you, I think you stand a good chance of winning, Hilda. Competition's very thin. Most of them have dropped out. Of course, there is still Elsie.
I could go on me muck and beat her.
Who's arguing, Hilda?
Elsie Tanner. Take all them fancy clothes off her, she'd be like a plucked chicken.
I'll tell you said that, Hilda.
You do. See if I care.
She'll look 'em cold in that outfit. It's beautiful.
And cheap, thanks to you.
Cheap? You call half a week's wages cheap?
It were nothing like half a week's wages.
Will be by the time I've finished bribing the judges.
There's no need to bribe anyone. It's a well-known fact that Tracy is the most beautiful baby in Weatherfield.
In the world?
Oh, sorry, love, sorry.
That's what I thought, till yesterday, when somebody said she looked like the mother. So I thought I'd better start greasing a few palms.
I'll thump you in a minute, Langton.
So, Elsie, what are you going to wear for the glamorous granny contest? A mask?
Ray!
I'll think of something. There's plenty of time yet.
Hey, is it true Mrs. Walker's written to Glenda Jackson asking if she can give her a few hints on how to play good Queen
Wouldn't be
Bess?
surprised.
Now, this is the famous one. I know I have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king, and of a king of England too. And think foul scorn that Parma, Spain, or any prince of Europe should dare invade the borders of my realm. Oh, what a woman, eh? What a woman.
Mrs. Walker?
Is it?
Well, you'll just be sitting on a brewery lorry dressed as Elizabeth. You won't have to do any acting or talking or anything like that.
Oh, that's not the point, dear, is it? If I'm to look like her, then I must feel like her, here, inside. I remember reading somewhere that Glenda steeped herself in the literature of the age before tackling the TV part.
Did you?
Hope she's in the country, then she can reply to my letter.
Well, come on, Ernest. I mean, you must have some ideas. We still need a Britannia, a Sir Francis Drake, and a Sherpa Tenzing. If we don't get one, it's going to be the Annie Walker show.
Well, isn't it going to be that anyway?
That's not the spirit that won the Northwest Frontier, huh? Ernest!
Oh, look, I'm sorry. I just don't see any point in making suggestions that are just going to be chucked out like an old sock.
Oh, Ernest, how many times do I have to say it? I'm glad that Mrs. Walker is representing Elizabeth, none more so.
Nothing less than extortion the way she got that job, and the way you lot caved in, it was just despicable.
Look, without her help, we would not have got afloat.
There was a principle at stake. You should have told her quite politely what to do with her float, or better still, impolitely.
Talk to him, Emily.
Love, I know you'd set your heart on me being Elizabeth, but it wasn't me, really. I'd have probably run away to sea or hid in the attic next Tuesday morning. I'd have been in a state of shock from embarrassment.
Hey, I've just thought what we can get for Francis Drake, seeing Ken won't do it. Eddie Yates.
Much as I like Eddie, I don't think even his best friend could describe him as a distinguished old sea dog.
No. More undistinguished young layabout.
Hey, I suppose Fred would make quite a good Sir Francis. No, but he's tall, he's ruddy, with a little beard.
I agree, love. He
Right.
would.
Right. Now, what about Britannia?
Oh, there's only one obvious choice there, isn't there?
Oh.
Oh, Bet.
Bet? Well, Bet's a bit... Well, Bet, isn't she? I mean, she's more your Delilah than your Britannia.
No, wait a minute. No, I think Ernest has got a point. I mean, she's got quite a presence as our Bet, hasn't she? And she'd look very formidable in the gear.
Oh, you can say that again. Sorry, Emily.
OK, well, that just leaves with Sherpa Tenzing.
Old Albert.
Yeah. Uncle Albert?
Yes.
It's a bad idea, that, you know. I mean, he looks a bit of a mountain man, doesn't he? All right. But who's going to persuade him to do it?
I don't want to feel constricted. I want to have room to expand.
I think you'll find there's plenty of room on the float, Annie.
Yes, but you'll only be one of umpteen floats, you know. I mean, our streets and the organisations in town, they've got enough floats in that procession.
Not one of umpteen floats, Mr. Tatlock. The float.
Yeah, but nobody will be looking at you. Especially if you're following Greenwood's float. You know, some lasses there, they're going to do 25 years of fashion. And they've got the lot. Mini skirts, baby doll nighties, topless...
That'll be quite enough, thank you.
Well, I'm not but warning you.
Thanks for warning me, Albert.
Don't encourage him, Len.
Uncle Albert, can we have a word?
Yes, over here. And one for yourself.
My, is it me body you're after?
Oh?
Liar.
Albert, I've just got your rum in, all right?
All right, what do you want?
Diet. Can nobody make a friendly gesture without everybody getting suspicious?
Not since Adam were a lad.
What a world.
Well, as a matter of fact, Uncle Albert, we did have an ulterior motive. Not for buying you a drink, but for coming in here.
Yeah, you want me to be Sherpa Tenzing, not float, don't you?
Pardon?
How did he guess?
Well, it's not a matter of guessing. I mean, he's only a little chap, isn't he? Well, who's the local dwarf? Me. I knew you'd get round to asking me sooner or later.
Oh, and will you?
No, I won't.
Uncle Albert, please.
Yeah? I got myself a whiskey and coke. Is that all right?
Yeah, fine, love. Come on, Albert, be a sport, eh?
No, I won't, and you can take your rum back if you want.
What are they trying to get you to do, Albert?
They're just trying to bribe me to be Sherpa Tenzing on float with a flipping lousy rum.
What are you trying to bribe me into doing with a flipping lousy whiskey?
Alf?
Ken?
Chicken. We were hoping that you would be our Britannia.
Britannia?
Will you?
Well, I'd have to have the proper gear. I mean, shield and helmet and robes a bit bigger hugging round the top.
Yeah, well, within reason. We don't want locking up, do we?
Well, will you?
Yes. Why not? Yeah, be delighted. Just to help you out, of course.
Great, great.
Now, come on, Albert, be a sport.
It's only a bit of fun, Albert. I mean, he were a big hero, weren't he, Sherpa Tenzin? He'd have got a VC if he'd have done what he did in a war.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And I'll hold your hand if you're lurry sick.
All right, go on then, but I'm not
Good.
dressing up in out fancy.
Attaboy. Excuse me, gentlemen.
Okay, come on, we'll come and talk about it. Tell you what you got.
The first time I put the costume on for the fancy dress ball, I felt an immediate affinity with that woman. If only I'd lived in a bygone age when, breeding counted for something.
Mrs. Walker,
That's it.
you'll never guess what's just happened.
Surprised me.
Ken and Alf have just asked me to be Britannia, so we'll be on the float together. Isn't that nice?
Nice isn't the word I'd have used, Bet. More, what shall I say, incongruous?
What's incongruous mean?
I don't know, love, but I don't think it's very complimentary.
Well, never mind. She's a lot less puffed up than she would have been otherwise, and that's what matters.
Yes, Hey, do you know I ought to take exception to you spending half your time talking to Bucks and Blonde Barmaid?
We're all friends.
That's what worries me.
What are you having?
The usual, because I can't think of anything else.
Me too. So that's a vodka and lime and a gin and tonic.
Stanley?
Yeah, right, gentlemen.
A pint of wallop.
Hey, are we going to these various competitions across at Centre this afternoon?
I'm not. I don't know about you.
Do you know, only a few weeks ago it would have said it's up to you, love. Whatever your pleasure, my darling. I've only been put on earth to please you.
Yeah, don't they turn into slobs quickly? I've had some experience of that, you know.
Hey, shouldn't you be getting ready to be a glamorous granny?
Oh, I could win just as I am.
There's one or two who've hardly turned 40, you know.
So?
So there's one or two who've hardly turned 40, you know.
I know one who has.
Who's that, Stan?
Our elder.
Oh.
She's entered.
Blimey, I were only kidding when I suggested it to her this morning.
Never kid her elder. I know what it cost.
Well, there's not much competition there, is there?
Are they over there?
You'll walk it.
You reckon?
Oh, doesn't she look a picture?
Yeah, I say it myself. She's a credit to me.
What about me?
Well, it's the male genes what decide beauty, you know. And intelligence and charm.
And what about the female genes?
I think they're superfluous.
You pig.
Filling up nicely, eh?
Yes, indeed.
Hey, and I thought this sort of a do was out of date these days, you know.
Not for the ladies. They love it. They'll soon be hearing the stage whispers. And there's old Nellie Fishwick. She's 60 if she's a day. How does she get that dress on? You know.
There's milk they like better than tearing each other to pieces, is
The
there?
favourite sport.
Right, well, we've got about a dozen entrants.
Oh, that's not too bad.
And there'll be one or two latecomers, I think.
Like Elsie.
Or Hilda.
Oh, no, she'll be deciding whether it's Miss Chick today or Outdoor Girl.
Let's not be naughty to Hilda.
Well, everybody else is.
I'll send Emily to find out where else he's got to.
Oh, good, good. I'll tell you something. The atmosphere in that committee room is pretty malevolent. There's no love lost between that lot, I'll tell you.
You wait till I start judging the babies. Honestly, it's literally daggers drawn. I've had some.
I never knew you were a mother.
When I was a photographer...
Oh, here comes our celebrity judge, Miss Weatherfield.
Oh, hello, Liz.
Hello,
Nice to see you again.
Miss Aspin, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Elsie were in here, what, about an hour since? Maybe she's nipped round to the cabin for a pair of tights. You know, a last-minute job.
Oh, yes, I suppose that's possible.
How's it going across there?
Oh, looks like being a huge success.
Sharp going.
Our employer's going, Betty. We must remain on duty.
Yeah, but look at the place. I mean, there's no more than half a dozen in. It's not going to take two of us to serve this lot.
But supposing a coachload of Americans pulls up outside?
Hey? We've never had a coachload of America. We've never had a coachload of anybody, come to think of it.
That's what she said when I asked if one of us could go with her. Bet, dear, supposing a coachload of Americans pulls up outside, she said.
No answer to that.
I couldn't think of one neither.
Oh. Well, I'm off. Oh, Emily, dear. I'm so glad that we solved our little misunderstanding about who was to play Elizabeth.
And so that you don't feel too deprived, why don't you consider yourself my understudy? Bye.
Bye.
I never even wanted to be Elizabeth.
She wouldn't believe you if you told her, love. Getting her own way isn't good enough. She's got to stick the boot in.
You're a student of human nature. Do you know that, Bet?
That's just what a fella said to me last night when I told him that a wife who works in a chippy and has 2 fur coats in her wardrobe wanted watching.
Hey, look who's here.
Hilda, what have you done to yourself?
Why don't you like it?
Well, I think you look great.
Very smart, lovey.
$1 million, Mrs. Ogden.
Thank you very much. I just come in for a drop of Dutch courage, actually.
Don't you think you're cutting it a bit fine, lovey? I mean, the contest starts at 2, you know.
I thought it were 2:30.
too, Mrs. Ogden.
Oh, heck, I'd better get across there right away, haven't I? Are you sure I look all right?
You never look better, love.
Come along, Mrs. Ogden. It's a shame if you were too late.
Yeah.
Good luck, Hilda.
Hey, same here, kid.
Great.
Stanley, do you know who that very attractive woman was, what's just left?
Eh?
It was your wife.
Oh, well, I want 16.
16.
Why do we bother?
I don't know. I'm not going to bother him.
It's not worth it.
No. Fellas.
Phew.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And now, may I introduce you to our contestants. Number 1 is Mrs. Eileen Jones. Oh, just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. We seem to have a late entry.
I'm sorry I'm late, but I got the time wrong.
Well, that's right, Hilda. You've just made it. Would you come up on the stage?
Yes.
Make this way, Hilda.
Oh.
I didn't know Mrs. Ogden was going to enter. Impulse, really. A rather endearing human quality. Optimism, don't you think?
And anyway, it's number 13, I'm afraid.
Oh, heck, and mine can't be helped.
Right, okay. Well, if you just stand at the end of the line, then. Right, ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying before I was so happily interrupted, number 1 is Mrs. Eileen Jones. Now, thank you. She lives at number 27 Milton Avenue. Mrs. Jones.
Where's Elsie Howard got to dinner?
Search me. Probably got cold feet when she heard I'd entered.
Mark 3, and Darren, 1 year old tomorrow. So a big hand for Mrs. Jones, please. Thank you. Now, contestant number 2 is
Number
Mrs.
6,
Patricia
Dot Baker
Rowe.
from Hardware
She
Shop in
lives
Bessie
at
Street.
Number 10,
How
Vale
the hell did
Terrace,
she get in
and
that
she is a
from?
housewife.
I don't know, but I wouldn't mind helping her out of it.
4 years since her grandson Peter was born. So a big hand and applause to Mrs. Rowe, please. Thank you.
Oh, that's better.
It's not you's in the Bonnie Baby contest, Raymond. You'd be in the Ugly Baby contest.
I'm nervous for her, aren't I?
Where is your Deirdre?
She's across with Tracy at the committee room.
Oh.
And with the other mums. It's terrible. Nobody's talking. They're all just eyeing one another.
You see her, Hilda?
No, mate.
Thinking a fool of herself, no doubt.
She might feel better if you were over there rooting for her.
I don't want my wife labelling a grandmother, do I? It means I'm a granddad.
But you are.
I don't want that going around.
Why? Would her at 19 Inkerman Street not like it?
She's not the only fish in the sea.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, we have number 13, Mrs. Hilda Ogden. Thank you. Now, I don't actually have any written details about Mrs. Ogden, but I think I know her well enough to give a thumbnail sketch.
Well, I should hope so, Kenneth.
Now, Mrs. Ogden lives just across the street at number 13. Number 13. Is 13 your lucky number, Hilda?
Oh, it's not been, no.
Hey, did he marry your Stanley on the 13th, Hilda?
The 4th, actually.
In that case, that's your unlucky number.
Stop making an exhibition of yourself.
It's only a joke.
Marriage hasn't exactly refined him, has it?
I never thought it would.
Mrs. Ogden is a housewife and also a cleaner, or, she might like to say, a daily help. She keeps our local pub all bright and shiny.
That'll be the day.
And she has 2 grandchildren, I believe, a boy called...
Damien and a girl, Jane.
So a big hand for Mrs. Ogden. Thank you. Right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that is all the contestants duly introduced, and now it is up to our judges. I wonder if they've reached a decision yet.
I do feel nervous.
I feel quite confident myself. Fella at middle keeps winking at me.
Well, at least we didn't turn yellow like Elsie Tanner.
Hey, there's a quid on Dot, whatever her name is, to win.
Oh, well, she set a stall out, hasn't she?
That's one way of putting it.
Are you a sex maniac, Bertha?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Our judges have reached their decision. They have selected the 3 lucky winners, which they tell me they did with the greatest difficulty as the competition was so keen. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to present them with their prizes, we have our celebrity judge, Miss Weatherfield. Or, better known to her friends, of whom I hope I'm one, as Liz Aspin. Thank you. Now, wait for it. Third is number 1, Mrs. Eileen Jones. And she wins a bottle of sherry. And second is number 2, Mrs. Roma Hartley, who wins a cosmetic set. Congratulations. And our winner is number 6, Mrs. Dorothy Baker. And she wins a weekend in London for 2. So a big hand for all the winners, please.
Glad you're satisfied.
I am. Great, darling, great.
She's dead common, you know, that Dot Baker.
Yeah, well, so am I, but I didn't win.
And now the next event, of course, is our beautiful Jubilee Baby Contest, which will be held in approximately 15 minutes, we hope, depending upon the humour of the contestants.
I just lost interest. There's no law against that, is there?
Well, you know what they're going to say, don't you?
Yeah, that I chickened out, that I was frightened of losing.
Yep.
Well, who'd say a thing like that? I mean, nobody is matters. It's not as if you entered yourself now, is it? I mean, it was Gail and Susie.
Oh, Aunt Betty, stop making excuses for me.
Well, I'm not.
Oh, yeah, you know. You know, time ago I would have walked in there with my 38 chest stuck out and enjoyed every minute of it. And if I'd have won, I'd have felt 6 foot tall. Daft as a brush, in fact. But now, well, don't see any point in it. Nobody to impress anymore. Not even my grandchildren, who I never see. And anyway, what would I have done for a weekend in London for 2? No point. See ya.
Darling. Oh, she's down in the dumps, isn't she?
Shh. Well, Hilda, how did you go on?
Oh, I didn't. Well, at least I entered, not like some.
Yeah, well, I would have done, but I read the posters wrong. I thought it was for great-grandmothers. See ya.
Double whiskey, Hilda.
Hey, look at Deirdre's face.
I don't know what she's worried about. It's a foregone conclusion. I mean, my daughter.
Well, she's a bit young, Ray.
I was talking at her age, you know. I were.
I know, you've not stopped shooting your mouth off since.
You don't when you got good cause.
She's not by any means the biggest baby, is she?
Oh, size isn't as important as it used to be in baby contests anymore, Mrs. Walker.
I thought it was.
Oh, no. In fact, they shouldn't be overweight for their age. And the judges will also take temperament into consideration, you know, whether they're happy or not. Tracy'll definitely score there. She's very alert. She takes after Deirdre.
I think Deirdre alert, do you?
Oh, yes, don't you?
Well, it's not something I would have associated with her age group, actually.
Hey, you seem to know a lot about babies.
Only from hearsay, Mr. Tatlock.
Have you never thought about having one of your own? I'll put a word in with your Ernie if you like.
Right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We now have the winner of our beautiful Jubilee Baby Contest. Thank you. Now, as I explained earlier, we've decided just to have an outright winner, not to have a second best beautiful baby or a third best beautiful baby. I mean, how do you tell her mum that her baby's second best? I'm certainly not brave enough to do it. So, without further ado, the winner is Tracy Langton.
How about that then, mate? How about that?
Cost you that, mate.
I'll stand you half a bit any day, thank you.
Thank you. So if the proud mum and her baby will step forward, well, the proud mum stepped forward anyway, our celebrity will present them with their prizes. Now, the prize is for Mrs. Langton, a weekend in London for 2.
Thank you.
And for Tracy, a Jubilee crown, which we hope will remind her of this triumph for the rest of her life. Congratulations.
Oh, I can't believe it. I'm over the moon.
Hey, that's my daughter, that is.
I know.
My daughter, that. Yeah. Well, here's to our Tracy.
Our beautiful Tracy. Hey, who's babysitting, by the way?
Oh, Mrs. Shambles.
Hey, you wanted to get her to do some of those adverts on telly like they do with the winner of Crufts.
She's not a dog, Len.
No, hang about, though. She could advertise nappies or something like that.
No, I'm not telling her about all this. I don't want to get him big-headed.
Penny for her, Mrs. Walker.
I was just thinking, dear, she might have been my grandchild if Billy had married Deirdre.
Ah, she might. She might have been my daughter if I'd had a husband.
Hey, if the father bought the first round, I think the second
don't
round
tell
should be
me the Godfather. Right, same again, please, Betty, all around.
Right.
For everyone.
Hey, Britannia, come on, help me pull some ale.
Aren't the working classes coarse, Your Majesty?
Remind me to shorten her by the head, as Elizabeth was rather fond of saying.
I will.
Well, let's hope next week's procession will be as successful as today.
Oh, I think it will be.
Oh, me too. I mean to say, we're in good hands.